Hey, check 1 2. Hey, check 1 2. Sorry, just one more thing. Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I apologize. So there was an error on the website when I was trying to play the video back. So I fixed that error. If you're watching this, that means either you got that error and you scrolled down to the small video, which didn't have the error, or you got my message in the Facebook group and reloaded. So I apologize for any inconvenience that may have caused, and I hope that you got in all right. So that said, we are still working with the 5 acts of consciousness. To recap our time together so far, we started with the powers of consciousness, which were, if you recall, it's a little bit while back, Chit, Ananda, Icha, Jnana, Kriya. And those are basically what consciousness is, the energy of consciousness that is within us and all around us, that ever-flowing current is awareness, bliss, knowledge. It is, sorry, I said that out of order, will, knowledge, and action. Now, the actions, which is the 5th Shakti, Kriya, we started going over those, the 5 actions of consciousness, and we went into creation, which is Srishti. We went over that first. We've done Samhara, which is dissolution or reabsorption or retraction or destruction or letting go, as we went over it. And now what I'd like to go into is Sthiti, which is stasis or maintenance or preservation. Okay, now this one, Sthiti, if you open the email that I sent out, I had mentioned, I was recognizing that creation, there is a romantic period of creation. Before we start creating something, there is tremendous resistance on most of our parts. Because creation requires that we go into the unknown, something new. It's unsafe, it's uncharted territory, so there is an instinctual withholding to step into creation. And let me just, I don't hear myself, I want to make sure that, I apologize. There we go. Okay, I just wanted to make sure that you were hearing me. So with creation, there's a romantic period where things, once you get past that resistance, that initial resistance, which may last a lifetime, we then get into the creation. And that creation is where the magic happens. Sparks fly. I mean, it is just magnificent. The energy is flowing. There's this feeling that you are in the flow of the universe itself. And it's like, man, that energy is incredible. And it is a privilege that we get to have that creation period. Now, the next phase of that, though, is stasis, sthiti. If you think about it, with birth, this is creation process. It starts with 2 human beings having, hopefully, we hope, a consensual and enjoyable experience with one another that then develops and grows this human inside of someone else. And then that human is born, and that is the creation process. and it happens so fast. Then we have this long time of sthiti, which is that sustaining of life, where the baby then grows up. And within the big sthiti, the stasis of sustaining life, there's, of course, creations, sustaining, destruction. There's all of that within it, of course. But if we look at it as life and death as the beginning, or the creation and the destruction as three, those are two of the three acts of consciousness itself. The middle one is that sustenance in between, and that stasis period of time. Now, what we know about that period of time is that it can be incredibly challenging. And that's what we're talking about today, is that the romantic period in a creation process is magnificent, but it is one of 5 parts that happens in anything. The second one, stasis, is both the biggest blessing ever and simultaneously the biggest challenge that we face as humans. It's both the thing that we never want to let go of, right? What's the hardest thing for people to, as they grow older, to cope with? The fact that life will end in this human body, right? And we want to hold on to it forever. But for so much of that forever, so much of that time that we're attached to is spent agonizing over the challenges and feeling how hard life is. And it's true, life can be really hard. And what we need to, of course, remember that it's only for a short period of time. So may we embrace both the highs and the lows of that stasis period, of that sthiti, that sustenance, that part of our, what's the word I'm looking for? That part of our life that is holding on or elongating, drawing out our experience. So we have to recognize the beauty of the highs and lows of that stasis period. And it's so cold in here. I apologize. I just blasted the heat and I need a little bit of warm water. I'm like, wow, it's warm outside, but it's the fall. And at night it's, we've gotten frost weather happening where we lost all our basil and our tomatoes. But you think about it, when the seed is planted in the beginning of the spring, at first that creation, before it sets into the ground with roots, there's a hard period of time there where it may not get enough water. I mean, it's in the resistance period. It's very hard. It's hard to crack that shell. Once that shell is cracked, then the roots dig down fast. It shoots up, and then it's in full bloom, and it's whatever, if it's lettuce, you got leaves to pick, and it gives sustenance to this physical body. But there's a nice period of time where it has plenty of nutritional value, and it's in its prime. And it requires, in that prime time, maintenance. If you've ever owned a garden, we do, thankfully. It requires that it gets enough water, sunlight, warmth, that it has the right amount of soil coverage, that soil has the right amount of nutrients. So it requires a tremendous amount of maintenance, is one of the words that we use when we talk about sthiti, maintenance. And if you don't maintain it, then what happens is either that plant dies, or it never grew in the first place, but it may die, it may get overtaken with bugs, and it will bolt, meaning before you get to have its full sustenance for you, pulling the leaves off, it'll bolt up, flower, and seed, and that's the end of its life is quicker. So to help it maintain, we have to put effort in. And that's the point for today, is that we have to put effort in for sustenance, whether it's a good thing, whether it's something, let me put it this way, whether it's enjoyable or not enjoyable, we have to put effort into the sustaining of it. Last thing I'll bring up is when I came to New York in 2009, I was in Long Island, which we don't consider New York if you grew up there. We call it Long Island, but New York is the city. And when I came to New York in 2009, I had already been teaching yoga for about a year, uncertified, and things were moving so fast as a yoga teacher. I was my career was really just unfolding. At the time, it felt really slow. Let me put it that way. But when I look back, I realized like, wow, that all happened so fast. Now I'm talking fast over the course of 3 to 5 years was fast when I look back on it compared to the growth periods since then, in the last 8-9 years or whatever. The beginning, while then it felt really slow, when I look back on it, was a tremendous amount happening so fast. And it was the creation process of what is now being sustained in my life. The creation process is like the romantic period. It's the period where everything is blooming and everything just feels like you get those rose-colored glasses and it's just like, wow, everything is magnificent. And all of the challenges that I faced at that time, I was completely broke, living off $5 a day budget. That's what I had budgeted for myself. So I was eating, I'd get a head of broccoli, an avocado, and usually an apple from the fruit stand for the day. And I would go to the salad bar where I would grab a bottle of water and then like take their olive oil and drip it all over the bag I had this like little plastic bag from the fruit stand, and I drip the olive oil into the broccoli, and I take some salt and pepper packets for my avocado. And I needed to do that kind of thing in order to create the life I was building, which was to become a professional yoga teacher and make that my living. Now, there was tremendous challenges that I faced in that time period. I slept on so many different couches. I slept in the park. I kind of slept in Penn Station at one time. Don't tell my mom. And there were massive challenges I faced in the creation period, but I was overwhelmed by the romance of the experience of development, that it didn't matter how hard it was fun. It had a purpose. It was driving me. I had that pull inside me that knew that this was the route that I needed to go. And so I kept stepping into it. And there was something so enjoyable about the unfolding of it, despite the challenges of being broke, despite the challenges of being completely depleted of energy and having really sustenance for my physical body was completely low. I mean, broccoli, apple, and an avocado was pretty much all I was eating each day, and some water. It was questionable how healthy I was at that time. I was doing yoga like 4 times a day, honestly, and assisting, and I don't know if I had the right amount of calories for my body. Anyway, point being is that romance period, that feeling of drive, that feeling of lust, I would say, for whatever the creation is, pulls you through in such a way that is exciting. And all the challenges you face within it, as hard as they might be, kind of get brushed over because you're so driven towards that one thing. Now, the next period is what we're talking about today. The stasis is okay, I built my career and I established myself over the course of 3 years or so. And now I finally have an apartment living in Manhattan, and I'm getting burnt out. I started hating yoga for a little while, to be honest. I couldn't understand why people were so obsessed with this physical practice. Like, it has nothing to do with the physical. It's all, like, this is just a bunch of nonsense. Everybody's attracted to the outer. It's all ego. This is like negative energy just flooded me because I was so burnt out from the previous 3 years, and it all had caught up with me. And now I'm in a position where I don't have a college degree. I don't have any other real skills aside from being a musician, which I had already tried for 8 years and failed at. And I've got to sustain this career as a yoga teacher. I remember being annoyed cueing Warrior One. I was like, why are you doing this pose? I remember being so negative toward people doing the practice, even though this was the practice that I love. And it had nothing to do with them or the practice of yoga. It had everything to do with me being burnt out and not yet learning how to sustain my energy, and not yet learning how the sustenance or the stasis period, the sthiti period, requires as much resilience as the creation period. That when the romance is gone, if you're in a relationship, a marriage or whatever, long-term relationship, whatever it might be, that when the romance is gone, the real relationship sets in. And it's all about our dedication, our tie to our intention, our drive that sustains. And of course, within that, that we can we sustain that drive within it? It's going to go up and down. We're going to feel the passion goes away, the excitement goes away. And those that can sustain that will succeed in whatever it is that they're doing, whether it's an art piece, a creation of a song, whether it's a career, whether it's a family life, a relationship. It's all about, okay, cool, we can all get through that. It's hard to start. Once started, the creation has a momentum. It's a romance. It's like lust, right? But then we drop into the stasis period, which is long. Even if you look, life is short, we think about it in the end, but it's a long period of time in comparison to birth and death. Birth and death happen fast, whereas in comparison, life happens for a long period of time. We hope, of course, right? So generally speaking, that is. So that said, when we get to that stasis point, when we're on our yoga mat and we're holding a posture, we know that the creation of the posture is a lot of fun. It's exciting, but sustaining it, that takes resilience. That takes effort. That takes willpower. That takes the part of you that is tied to the deeper purpose, the why behind you step on your yoga mat. This we can practice sort of on the yoga mat, right? We get into a pose, we form it, and then we sustain it. The greater question is, can we practice it off the yoga mat? But today, let's start with the easy, the physical body. So I said it's easy. I'm somewhat facetious. All right, let's get going because we're also going to be meditating today. It is Tuesday. Apologize for sharing like 10,000 stories with you. I just wanted to drive home what sthiti is. So we're going to start today in the samasthiti, equal stance, or sustained stance, or same, stasis, balance, okay? Sthiti, samasthiti. So we start in what would be a poised stance, somewhere in between movement and not movement. That place right in the middle, where we're neither creating nor we're dissolving, but right in the middle. So creation and dissolution or dissolving, these are the two sides of stasis, of sthiti. We have these three different acts within us because consciousness has these different acts within it, and consciousness is within us. So while you're standing here, lift all 10 toes up. With your toes up, soften your inner knees slightly and move the inner thighs back until your buttock sticks back behind you and your low back forms an arch. I'm going to keep that for now and press your big toe down into the ground. Now press your pinky toe down into the ground. Hopefully, if possible, the other three toes stay lifted. If not, don't worry about it. Just press all the toes into the ground. That's fine too. But focus on big toe, pinky toe. Inner thighs back, inner knees soft. Now, micro tuck, micro meaning very small, micro tuck your tailbone and start to lift your belly upward. As your belly lifts upward, let the shoulders rise slightly as if there's breath underneath your armpits, like there's helium underneath your shoulders, and keep them light and lifted as you move your arms back slightly. Palms start to rotate forward, so a little external rotation at the upper arms. But allow there to be broadness across the back body too, so don't pinch your shoulder blades together so much. Keep them broad, but also keep the collarbones broad, so there's two sides of the body is open. Breathe underneath the armpits and now bring the head back, the skull back. So we call this either Tadasana or Samastiti, which stiti is the stasis period, that sustenance, that period of time between creation and destruction, that gift that we have, which we call our life, where we get to experience the highs and the lows of it. Lift tall through the skull. We take a moment of gratitude for this stiti, this sustenance of this posture, and also a moment of gratitude for the sustenance, this sustaining of our life. Bring the palms together in front of the heart, also known as Samastitihi as well. Humble gratitude and bow to the heart that pulses inside of us. May we recognize that it is sustaining the blood flow within us and allowing us to have this energy to move, to think, to breathe. Inhale, reach the arms to the sun. Exhale, bow to the earth. Halfway lift on the inhale. Step the left foot back as you exhale. Place the hands on the front knee and pause. Hold here as you exhale. Okay. Micro tuck your tailbone and press down through the right heel. Activate your right buttocks. Now, keeping the right buttocks firm, draw the shins toward each other, specifically to get the back inner thigh line to activate. Okay. Now that strength in your legs will create a greater sense of support to sustain this posture longer. Okay. Now, rotate the palms outward. This is all the creation process of the pose. And bring the arms upward. Can you lift your shoulders up and press your palms together? This tends to be challenging for most people, that pressure of the palms into one another. Lift the shoulders up higher to do so. Now let's sustain it for 3 more breaths. Inhale. 2 more. Press the pinky edge of the palms together a little bit more. 1 more breath, release the hands from each other. Exhale, hands to the ground. Plank pose on the inhale. Lean forward, place the knees down and lower Chaturanga. Lift the heart up to warm the back up. Inhale. Shoulder blades together here. Exhale, release. 2 more. Inhale, lift the heart up. Exhale. 1 more. Exhale. All 4s, hands and knees. Inhale. Tuck your toes. Exhale back into downward facing dog. Let's take 3 breaths. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Lift the heels up on the in-breath. Look forward. Empty the breath out. Hop or step lightly to the front of the mat. Halfway lift on the inhale. Exhale and bow. To the sun, rise up. Urdhva Hastasana. Inhale. Hands to the heart. Samastiti. Inhale, reach up. Exhale to the earth. Bow. Half lift. Inhale. Right foot back. Push down into your feet. Rise up. Lunge preparation. So we want to pay attention in our creation process to set us up for the most success, right? We know that sustenance is coming up, so We want to create a posture that is going to be more easily sustained for a longer period of time. So we do that by setting a strong foundation. Pull your feet toward each other and pressing down into the left heel. The left big toe and pinky toe press down for balance side to side. And as your left buttocks firms up, scoops underneath, lift up tall. Reach the arms up and try to place the palms together by lifting the shoulders up towards your ears. Take a breath in to get longer in the sides of the body, so this is more easily sustainable. Stay lifted, stay light, and let's do 3 breaths together. There's a softness on the exhales, and there's an expansion on the inhales. One more. Inhale. Get tall, get tall, get tall. Exhale. Now release the hands. Take 1 breath in, heart up. Exhale, hands to the earth. Plank pose on the in-breath. Exhale, Chaturanga. 3 times, lift the heart up. Inhale, warming up the back. Exhale, soften. Again, inhale, lift the heart up. Exhale. 1 more time. Inhale, lift the heart up. Exhale. All 4s, hands and knees. Tuck the toes. Exhale, down dog. And let's enjoy a breath. Two more. Lift the heels up on the inhale, look forward. Empty the breath, hop or step to the front. Half lift, inhale. Exhale, bow. To the sun, rise. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana. Hands to heart, Samasthiti. Inhale, reach up. To the earth. Half lift, inhale. Left foot back. High lunge, rise, inhale. Open warrior 2. Pause. Take a breath. Soften. It's all about that combination of breathing in and breathing out, metaphorically speaking. So move your hips back and pull your feet toward each other. Breathe in. Get light. And then on the exhale, soften. Keep pulling your feet toward each other and try to press your front heel down. Keeping your buttocks firmed up and your inner thighs toning. Feel the rise and fall of your breath. If you acknowledge the rise and fall of your breath, the inhales, there's an expanding, a rising, a lifting, an outward expression. And on the exhale, there's a softening, a releasing, relaxing a little bit. Okay, if you follow that, you can sustain the posture longer. Let's do 3 more breaths. I mean, let your body follow it. Let your mind follow it. Feel it. 1 more. Reverse warrior, inhale. Hold, exhale. Find your legs, get strong. Lift your rib cage up. I noticed that did we pause over here? Keep going if you, my video pause. I want to make sure you're continuing. Sorry about that. We got 2 more breaths. Okay, I was just making sure the video didn't get cut off. 1 more breath. Excuse me. And release. Inhale to plank. Chaturanga. This time, take your hands wide, fingertips. Round the back. Inhale. Soften. Let your shoulders go up towards your ears and back behind you. Pull the heart forward and up. Press your rib cage forward. And release. Feet a little bit wider. Let's do that again. Inhale, round. Soften, shoulders go back and up. Heart melts between your shoulders. Pull the rib cage forward and up. Exhale, release. Again, inhale, round. Soften, shoulders go back and up. Pull the heart forward and up. And release. Inhale to all fours. Exhale, down dog. Now in your down dog, grip your fingers into the ground and push your hips up and back. That's going to give you the greatest sustenance for the shoulder joints. Without that, then the shoulders will be taking a beating. So really get strong in the shoulders to move your weight into your feet. And like we did in Samastiti, can you press your big toe and pinky toe down, lifting the other 3 toes up? Potentially. If you can't, then press all the toes down. That's fine. Think about the heels not so much resting on the ground, but actually lifting up slightly off of the ground, about 1 inch, a couple centimeters for my European friends, sticking the bum to the sky. On this breath in, lift the heels, look forward. Empty the breath, hop or step lightly. Half lift, inhale. Exhale and bow. To the sun, rise up, inhale. Samastiti, heart. Inhale, reach up. Exhale to the earth. Half lift. Right foot back, exhale. Inhale, rise, high lunge, press down, lift up. And open up, warrior 2. Pause. Okay, so what we want to do is first establish a strong foundation, create a posture that can be sustained rather than creating something that's going to burn out fast. So we pull our feet toward each other and press the left heel down. What that does is activates the inner thigh muscles, the hamstrings, and the buttocks. If we do that, pulling in and pressing down, recruit more muscles than if we just kind of sink in here, then the quads will burn out because they're the only muscle that's working. So we pull in and press the heel down. The quads are still working, the inner thighs are now working, the hamstrings are working, and the buttocks is working by pressing down. Keeping that, take the arms out to the sides. Slightly externally rotate the arms and follow the rise and fall of your breath. Let's do 4 more breaths. Don't forget to press the heel down so you don't burn out the quads, activating the buttocks as well. Let the body move subtly with your breath. So in stasis, it's not just stagnance, right? It's not that there isn't any movement. There's actually quite a bit of movement. It just may not be as obvious. Flip the palm, reverse warrior. Gather strength in the feet, press down, lift the heart up. 3 more breaths. Flow with the breath, like just let it move your body a little bit. No need to be stuck. That's not what we mean by stasis. Hands to the ground. Inhale, plank. Chaturanga. Slide feet a little wider, hands wide. Inhale, round. Soften. Pull the heart through. Exhale, release. 2 more. Soften. Pull the heart through. Release. 1 more. All fours, hands and knees. Tuck the toes, down dog. Now, there's an important conversation I'm kind of getting at here, and that is that the sustaining period, the sustenance period, requires movement. If you hold on to what you created and don't alter it and don't change it and don't make little micro adjustments along the way, you will get caught in burnout. You have to move forward. Even in the sustaining process, you have to find a way. When I was in that time frame in Manhattan in my career where I was starting to burn out and things were not going my way, and I was losing interest, losing that joy and losing the heart of yoga for myself, I had to make a shift. And that shift that I made was jumping into a teacher training with my teachers, Jackie and Rudrani, and it reinvigorated my passion for the yoga practice. Lift the heels up, look forward. Empty the breath out, hopper step. Halfway lift, inhale. Exhale and bow. To the sunrise. To the hands to heart. All right, bend the knees. Feet hip width apart, bend the knees, starting with chair pose. Now, we make these big adjustments in the beginning. That's the creation period. So lift your toes up, move your hips and knees back. Now push your heels isometrically out, finding your outer hips toning, okay, outer buttocks. Now, once you have that, you can press the big toe and pinky toe down. Again, if the other 3 toes have to go down too, that's fine. But focus on big toe, pinky toe. Now, scoop the tailbone like a micro amount, just enough that it initiates a little lift of the belly, lift of the heart. Draw your belly in and up until you feel a little stretch in the abdomen coming into a back bend. Rotate the palms out and reach the arms up. Shoulders go up with the palms. If you can, press the palms together today. Make it a little bit more challenging on the shoulders. Lift the collarbones up as well. Now, as you sustain the posture with your breath, we make micro adjustments to reinvigorate the posture, to keep it sustaining. It's not about holding and just torturing ourselves and not making changes. It's about allowing ourselves to make those shifts, whether it's in our relationship, whether it's in our job, our art piece, our music, whatever it is that we're doing that we're trying to sustain. We have to be willing and vulnerable enough and courageous enough to make the shifts. Maybe it's stepping into a new training in order to get reinvigorated. Maybe it's taking a new action. Maybe it's following the movement, the rise and the fall of the breath. Maybe it's surrendering a little. Maybe it's putting more effort in. Only you really can find out the answer from you, from your experience. Looking for it and being open to it within that sustenance period. That's what's important. One more breath. And release. Half lift, inhale. Step back or hop, chaturanga. Slide the hands wide, fingertips around the bend. Soften, heart forward. Inhale, lift the heart. Exhale, release. All fours or plank. Exhale, down dog. Right leg to the sky. Step forward. Rise, high lunge. Open warrior 2. Reverse warrior. Exhale, hands to the ground, chaturanga right through. Slide the hands wide, fingertips round. Soften, shoulders back, heart forward. Inhale, heart up. Exhale, release. Inhale, all fours. Tuck the toes, exhale, down dog. Left side. Step forward. Push down, rise. Open up, warrior two. Reverse. Exhale right through chaturanga. Slide hands wide, fingertips round. Soften. Inhale, lift the belly, lift the heart. Exhale. All fours or plank. Exhale. All right, get connected to your breath. Push the shoulders towards the ears so your hips go up and back. Put the weight in your feet, heels slightly lifted. Sustaining the posture doesn't mean being stagnant. It doesn't mean being still. It means being willing to be mobile within the sustenance period. Willing to make shifts, changes, even if it's small, in order to create the most longevity. To change something that's not working. To continue what is working. To be self-reflective. To be malleable like water. Lift the heels up, inhale. Empty the breath, hop or step. Half lift, inhale. Exhale and bow. Bend the knees, Utkatasana, chair pose. Exhale, bow, Uttanasana. Half lift, inhale. Listen carefully, take the left leg straight back behind you. Come up onto the tippy fingertips and lift the heart. Micro tuck your standing sit bone, your right sit bone, so your glute muscles fire up, your hamstrings fire up. And take the arms out to the sides, draw your shoulder blades together. Dekasana, airplane pose. Hold. 3 breaths. Micro tuck your sit bone, sustain the strength of your glute muscles. But follow your breathing, lift the heart. Lift the back leg. Let's do one more breath. Hands to the ground, bend the knee, both feet to the ground. Inhale, halfway lift, observe the right and left side. Exhale, bow. Half lift again. Exhale, bow. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, bow. All right, halfway lift. Again, now take with the right legs back, left leg standing. Come up on the tippy fingers. Now, the left sit bone squeezes in and tucks in order to lift the chest up. Your buttock muscles and hamstrings should ignite. Now use your back muscles and take the arms out to the sides for Dekasana. Hold. Check in with your buttocks. It'll start to let go. Reinvigorate it. Use that resilience of yours, that willpower of yours to sustain the strength of the posture. Lift the heart up. Micro adjustments as you breathe. If you stay stagnant, you will start to fall. If you rise up with it, and if you soften, if you're mobile, if you're allowing yourself the awareness of the challenges you're facing and making adjustments, you'll be able to sustain longer. And release by bending the knee, both feet to the ground. Hallelujah. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale and bow. This time, let's sustain this posture. Soften the knees and interlace the hands behind the back. Stretch the shoulders open. Full breath in. Full breath out. Inhale. Exhale. One more. Both hands to the ground. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, bow. Halfway lift, prepare. Step or hop back, chaturanga. Slide the hands wide, fingertips round the back. Soften the heart. Inhale, pull the heart forward and up. Exhale, release. Inhale, all fours, hands and knees. Exhale, down dog. Right leg to the sky on the in-breath. This time, bend the knee and open up your hip. Breathe into your right side of your waistline. One more. Straighten the right leg, inhale. Step right foot forward. Push down, rise, high lunge. Open up, warrior two. Reverse warrior, inhale. Exhale, side angle preparation. Move the groins back and pull your feet toward each other. Today, roll the top shoulder back and externally rotate it as much as you can. Keep the shoulder back, so stretching open the collarbone here, the pectoral muscle, and see if you can reach the arm back behind you. Keep reaching it back as it goes over your ear if possible. Okay, back behind you the best you can. If you feel any pain in the shoulder, then come out of it a little bit. Sometimes you got to move your shoulder a little bit differently in order to get out of that. Make sure you avoid the impingement interval. Okay, now slide the bottom hand down. Big stretch of the side waistline. You can press your head up into your arm. Okay, so the head, the side of the head comes up into the arm. The arm presses down into the head. Turn the whole thing to the sky. Shoulder is very active, squeezing towards the head squeezing towards the arm. One more breath. Both hands to the ground and release. Hallelujah. Back knee comes down. Front foot comes out to the right. Left hand to the left. We know this movement from last practice. Externally rotate the arm bone so the bicep rotates out. Keep it and move the heart forward. Reach back for a thigh stretch. Bring the foot in towards the body. Top shoulder externally rotates too if possible. Kick the foot into the hand to activate the quads. Press the heart forward, stretching the psoas, the abdominals, hip flexors, thigh. Two more breaths. And release. All right. Lift the back knee up and take your elbows, if possible, to the ground. Or I've got my little second wind blocks over here. Happen to be a good size for me when I take them on the smaller height. Or you can take them on the second height up if you'd like. Place your forearms on the ground, on the blocks, hips go up. And you're a little bit off to the left to allow for more range of motion. Now activate your legs by pulling your feet toward each other. Okay, so hips are up high, and press your front heel down. Keeping that now around your back, and let the back of your head hang heavy. Hips are up, torso is down. Follow the movement of your breath. There's always a rise and a fall. All right, and release. One last posture on this side. Stay with me here. Right foot not the foe. Moves to the left side of the mat. We crisscross the legs, straighten as best you can through both legs. You can keep the blocks under your hands if you like, and wag the tail straight back. Exhale, bow over yourself. Now try with your right sit bone, that's your right buttocks, to tuck a little bit and press down and towards the left heel, or sorry, the front heel, down into the left, into the right heel. So down and across is what I'm trying to get at here. All right, come on out of that. Hands to the ground, step back down dog. Shift to plank pose, inhale. Exhale, chaturanga. Slide your hands wide, fingertips round the back. Soften your chest forward, shoulders go up and back. Pull the heart through, the rib cage forward. Press the low ribs back from the back of your heart, press forward to the front of your heart. And release. Inhale to all fours. Exhale to downward facing dog. Got the left side to go. Inhale, left leg up. Step forward. Push down, rise, high lunge. Inhale. Open up, warrior two. Reverse warrior, inhale. Side angle preparation, forearm to the thigh, hand to the hip. Take your right shoulder and peel it back. Then externally rotate the palm behind you so the palm faces up, the bicep faces up. And now pull your the shoulder here, pull it towards the back of your neck. So these muscles called the trapezius and the rhomboids engage. Keep that and try to make the arm go over your head. So you're kind of reaching back as you go. It's like almost on a diagonal that you're doing this, reaching back. And that engages the upper trapezius and rhomboids, which will help rotate your shoulder enough to get the arm all the way overhead. Now press your head up into your shoulder, your bicep back into your head. Okay, holding that, turn the belly, turn the chest, and slide the bottom hand to the ground. Stay with it. Two more breaths. And slow to release. Let's take our thigh stretch. Right hand to the right, left foot to the left. Open the heart. Externally rotate this arm and bend the knee, reach for the foot. Same with the bottom arm. Externally rotate the bottom arm so the bicep faces out, and then bring the foot in towards your buttocks. Now, once you get that, kick your foot back into your hand to isometrically engage the quads, creating that facilitated stretch. Facilitated stretch, in case you haven't heard me say it before, is an activated muscle while it's lengthening. So the muscle lengthens, but you activate it by kicking the foot back. What that does is something called the Golgi tendon organ. It receives information from the muscle about how much stress is on the muscle, sends that signal to the brain. The brain recognizes that because it's lengthened and you are trying to shorten it by engaging it, there's an increased amount of stretch or tension. So then the brain sends a signal back to the muscle to release that tension. That takes about 8 to 10 seconds for as far as we know. And then when that tension releases, you're actually able to bring the foot in a little bit tighter and stretch the quads more. Of course, it depends on how much tension there was to begin with and how much you were activating and if you activated long enough. So there requires at least sustaining of kicking your foot back into your hand for at least 8 to 10 seconds for any sort of release to happen. Most people have an attention span of 3 seconds about. So you can hold your attention on something for about 3-4 seconds. A master meditator is 7 seconds. So to sustain kicking your foot back into your hand for 8 to 10 seconds requires tremendous amount of sustenance, of willpower, of attention, of reminding yourself to stay alert. Okay, release. Okay, now take your blocks and lift the back knee up this time. Hips and groins go way up to the sky. With the hips and groins way up to the sky, your elbows come down to the blocks or the ground. Press the front heel down as always. Maybe not always, but most of the time. And then round the back, relax the back of the neck. I guess I should reveal to you that we are working towards King Pigeon over the next few practices. Today we're setting the foundations with the legs, with the ability to sustain activation, and awareness has to be, body awareness has to be sustained throughout several breaths in order to even get into the creation process of King Pigeon. Most people burn out before they even start. Okay, and release. We have one more posture in this little standing series. So walk your left foot to the right, crisscross the legs, straighten to the best of your ability. Hands can be on blocks. Tailbone goes straight back, lengthen the heart. Exhale and bow. And we breathe here. Okay, and come on out. Step to down dog. Place your knees down, come to your forearms. Let's get our shoulders strength going. Okay, you take your hands to the ground, interlace the hands, pressing your forearms to the ground. First, melt the heart so your shoulder blades come together, and then move your chest back. Now, as you move your chest back, let the shoulders stay forward towards the hands until your shoulders touch your ears. But keep your armpits from dropping. Lift them up away from the ground as the shoulders go towards the ears. Now do the best you can. Keep the armpits hollow, so not dropping, but lifted. And at the same time, now press down into your forearms. This might be enough for you just to keep the armpits lifted and to get the shoulders to the ears. If you can, you lift the knees up, hips up into dolphin pose, armpits hollow. Shoulders press through the elbows and through the wrist. If you feel any pain at the shoulder, that's not a good thing to sustain. You want to move out of that. Too many of us sustain pain. We hold in painful relationships and painful, whether it's our work life, whether it's things that we dislike in the way that we've created even our health, right? So there's so many things that will sustain that don't serve us, rather than making changes and making shifts. Either we don't know how, or we're scared to. We like the familiar as too much. We've created this. We spent so much time creating something that we don't want to give it up and switch paths. Whatever it might be for us, we sustain something that doesn't serve us or anybody around us. Okay, place the knees to the ground and release. So what we want to do is create something and sustain it and change it, make micro changes as needed, and address the things that don't serve us, and allow ourselves to be flexible enough to, yes, sustain something with the utmost integrity, with the utmost willpower, with the ability to tap into our own, what's the word I'm looking for? Resilience. But at the same time, recognize when we have to make little shifts within that sustenance, within that sthiti, that sustaining period. Okay, so next step is we're going to take a block underneath our hip. Okay, so you can use your, if you have a second wind block, or if you have even for this in particular, a foam block works great too. So either way, or if you don't have a block, just grab a rolled up blankets or even a second yoga mat and put it underneath your buttocks, okay? So what we're gonna do is try to develop sustenance in the buttock muscles, the ability to strengthen the butt. So take your right shin across the mat and then move the block underneath your butt for a moment in order to give you a resting point, okay? Now, once you get the block under your hip, you should be able to come more upright. You got to use your back muscles like we did in that Daikasana, okay? Lift your back, your heart up. And see now if you can press your shin and knee down into the ground so that your butt that's on the block becomes light, okay? So not so heavy. Then, and only then, you'll probably be able to take your hands off the ground pretty easily. Now what we want to try to do is find a way to get off of the yoga block, to have enough strength in our buttocks and hamstrings and even the back adductors and hip flexors. So we do just like we did in that first lunge. We pull the two knees toward each other and the hips should be able to lift up and become more buoyant, light, okay, off of the block. So now that you're off the block, lift the belly and heart up like a proud pigeon. And today we're just working on this foundational stance. Take the arms, externally rotate them, and pull your shoulders back. Now lift the arms up and look up. Shoulders to the ears, look up to your thumbs. Keep the hips up off the block, and let's sustain this for 5 breaths. You think we can do it? Inhale. Exhale. Pull your knees toward each other. Press down into the front knee. Inhale. Exhale. You have to tap into your resilience. Inhale, press down into the knee, lift hips up higher, heart up. Exhale, you can soften, not all the way, of course, but you can soften. Inhale, lift up. Heart up. One more breath, you got this. Inhale. Exhale, release. Hips down onto the block and step back. Release all the way. Block to the other side. Okay, that's pretty challenging, and that's that's without doing all the grabbing of the foot and everything. So it's a hard pose to sustain that buttock strength, but that lift is what takes the pressure off the low back and allows you to have range of motion in your spine. All right, so let's get to the other side. Blocks underneath the hip here. Left shin across the yoga mat. It doesn't matter how far forward or what angle it is for today. You're just there, whatever's comfortable, so that you can gather strength in your legs. So first, we just observe what is. Once we get there, we take a breath. And we want to create, that's the first act of consciousness. The most sustainable second act, sustenance, posture. So pull your feet toward each other and press your front knee down. That should already get you buoyant and light and allow you to take your hands up onto your thigh. I'm constantly reaching my back heel back. Okay, that's going to be a little bit of a stretch, but it'll give length to the front body. Now lift the belly up against that. Heart up. Now take the arms up to the sky. Get light, get buoyant. Hips up. If you can, bring the palms together. Okay, that'll simulate a little bit of the strength required for the full posture. 4 more breaths. Stay lifted. Pull your knees toward each other. Press your front knee down. 3 more. Get light. Just 2 more. Stay with it. Heart up. Belly up. One more, you got this. And release. Brilliant, coming on out. So a big strengthener for the buttocks, and if you really kept the heart lifting, you're gonna feel that as a stretch of the abdominals and the hip flexors. All right, so let's prepare ourselves for a seated position. And we'll continue our journey for King Pigeon in the next couple of practices, working towards it slowly. with understanding the biomechanics of the foundation, which is what we worked on today, getting lifted, getting strong, being able to sustain muscle energy in the inner thighs and the buttock muscles, and being able to lift up out of that using our back muscles. Okay, so then over the next couple of days, I'm going to try to help you develop the movement of your shoulders in order to grab the back foot and rotate, and we'll see where we get to. But for now, I'll bring the camera a little bit further forward so we can connect here. Grab your block, grab your blankets or a chair, however you want to sit. I need to bring this a little closer so I can see. And I'm not at the end of the... Where are we here? There we go. So we take a few moments here to get connected to the more inner parts of ourselves. The physical body is the manifestation on the outside of the creation that consciousness has taken form as this physical body. Consciousness also takes form as the mind, one layer deeper, perhaps. So we take a moment to get connected to it, because the mind is what helps us to be resilient. It helps us to sustain things. It helps us when we are wanting to make decisions to be more flexible in our daily life. It gives us insights, allowing us to make those micro shifts or adjustments or movements, whether it's in our home life or family life, our work life, our passion, our purpose, whatever it is that we're creating in that sustenance period. The mind can be our friend, but it could also hold us back, because it wants, as much as it loves the celebration of creation, it also likes to play it safe instinctually. So what we want to do is just become more aware of the way our mind works. There's no inherent answers, but they come slowly when we are listening. And when we need them the most, we tend to not go inward. We tend to stay outward, just action for the sake of action. And then what that leads to is burnout. So we take the time now to go inward, to help us make micro adjustments, to become aware of what's serving, what is not serving us. The way we go inward is first by observing the movement of our breath. Start controlling the breath, slow ujjayi. That is the sound of a whisper through the nose, like you're fogging a mirror, but with your mouth closed. Now we create what we call pranayama, controlling of the breath or restraining the breath. So it's simple. All you'll do is you'll inhale for, we'll do 6 counts today. Inhale for 6 and exhale for 6. And in those 6 counts, slow, steady breath in, slow, steady breath out. But in between the breaths, without clenching the throat, just lightly hold the breath without actually even, so no throat muscles held, no mouth or jaw muscles held. You just don't breathe in and don't breathe out. And that will be the sustenance period between the inhales and the exhales. The inhale representative of the creation, the exhale, the dissolution or the dissolving back, right? And that space between the inhales and the exhales, that's the sustenance, that's the sthiti, and we want to find that. Okay, so we inhale together for 6 counts. Now neither breathing in nor out, just sustaining, sthiti. Then exhale for 6 counts. Then sustain, neither breathing in nor out, just allowing the body to be. And then inhale, 6 counts. Sustenance, hold without clenching. Exhale. Hold without clenching, just be in the sustenance, the sthiti. Inhale. Hold here without clenching, just be in that moment of stasis, of nothing, holding, suspended, and then exhale. Continue this pattern. If at any time you need to pause and just breathe naturally, you're welcome to. It's in that stasis, in that sthiti, the place between the inhales and the exhales, that sustenance, that area of pure nothingness that is everything at all at once. It's in there where we can find the most calm, serene, peaceful place. So I invite you in there to acknowledge those moments between the creation and the dissolving, between the inhale and the exhale, in the sthiti. Continue your pranayama practice. Don't look for perfection of the counting or the timing of anything. Don't look for it to be anything other than stillness. Listen to the silence. Don't worry about how long you're holding it for. Just be with the nothingness between the breaths. Listen for that sthiti, that place of poise between the movements. The place between the creation and the dissolution. At this time, if you feel you need to lay on your back, you're welcome to. Otherwise, stay in your seated position. Let the breath settle back to a more subtle movement, less elongated. Now try to find that same sthiti, stillness or stasis between the movements of creation and dissolution. While sometimes stasis is challenging, other times it is blissfully still. Slowly bringing your attention back to your breath. And deepen it. Place the hands at heart center. If you're in Shavasana, you can roll over and come up to a seated position. And with the palms together, feel the right and left hand. Imagine your left hand as the creation and the right hand as the dissolution, the dissolving. We have these two magnificent energies of life that bring about both pain and pleasure. Right in between the two hands, can you feel the meeting point? Sthiti, place of balance between the two, where things are sustained. Take a moment to acknowledge this energy that is within consciousness and remembering that consciousness is within us. And we bow into the sustenance that is within us. Namaste. Thank you all so very much for your yoga practice today. I hope that you enjoyed yourselves on your yoga mat, and thank you for meditating as well, taking time. Also, thank you to Second Wind, who sent me this new purple yoga mat, which I love. This is the color that I originally, this kind of lavender color is something that was really near and dear to me at the beginning of my yoga practice. I was really into lavender. It's the scent and the essential oils and the incense, because there was something to it that was so calming, and it still is really for me. So everything was kind of associated with that color. My wife reminded me when she saw this mat, she's like, wow, that was so your color when we first met. So anyway, beautiful mat. Thank you, Second Wind, and everyone that joined the 300-hour teacher training. I'm excited to have you in it. Thank you so much. We still have a few days. If you're interested in asking me questions about that, we can get you in that. But the 200-hour training starts October 4th. I've been saying October 1st. I apologize about that. So October 4th is the start date for the 200-hour online teacher training. Hope to have you for that. We got 2 more yoga practices left for the September immersion. And so I hope to have you in the October immersion. I've called it the Breakthrough. I believe we'll be continuing on with the Tantra Illuminated and discussing the act of Anugraha, which is revelation. All right. Lots of love, everybody. Take care of yourself.